Welcome back. I'm doing a 3-part breakdown on a video I previously uploaded. This will be part 1, which I've named The Wet Cut. Thank you to those who have watched the full-length video. This is for you and for those who are left feeling like they needed to know more. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share if this video has hit home for you. Okay, so let's prepare this long, thick head of hair. Now, my client is also a previous hairdresser, so I find it to be quite easy to do long-winded haircuts on her because 1, she knows her hair, and 2, she knows that it takes time to deal with such thick hair if you want pretty results. Now, making sure the hair is very saturated because we are doing a razor cut, okay? So I'm sectioning the crown from the bottom layer so that I can have a distinct line of for the haircut to end. Where do I want the haircut to end? So I know I said I was doing this with a razor cut, but for this part, creating a guide, I will be tilting the head forward so I can get a nice clean cut underneath, making sure I can get all the hairs in the nape of the head. And I'm using a scissors. Look at the way my hand is positioned. This is very important to create a straight guide. Your cutting hand, your fingers from the non-dominant hand to the wrist, to the forearm, all the way to that elbow needs to be straight. If it's not straight, you run the chance of creating an uneven cut. So making sure the wrists, the fingers, everything needs to be straight when creating the guide. Okay, at the time I didn't have my Olivia Garden cutting cape to put over, so I was trying to flatten out the back area as much as possible with my hand and the cape that I was already using. But I do have the Olivia Garden cutting cape so that I'm not moving the cape around and the material around so much. Now, as you can see, we agreed on the length, and this is what we liked here, okay? Now, for the front, I like to take, you see I slowed it down a little from the back. I like to hit the section right behind the ears. And I like to give it a little directing to the front because that front piece has traveled to the back, making the distance longer, which in turn does not make it all one length, if that makes sense. So by doing this, I'm able to continue the guide that I cut from the back all the way around to the front. Now, just like I did when I was cutting the back, tilting her head, I'm doing it from the side. This way, her shoulders are not in the way as I'm creating the guide for the sides, bringing that length that we agreed upon to the front now. Now, you shouldn't run into any problems doing this, tilting the head and continuing the guide from the back to the front with a travel guide, as long as you are, 1, using your traveling guide, of course, and 2, keeping that cutting arm straight. As long as it's straight, you are quite literally just carrying the guide along. Now you can see it on this side a little bit better. Sorry, my elbow was in the way. So I grabbed a little hair from the back because that would be my guide. There's nothing to really cut there, even though I lined my scissors up. And then there we go. That's the little inch that traveled from the front to the back. That's how much distance there was. So now if I was to scoop that hair to the back, it would feel like it's shorter. But honestly, when it lays to the front, it hits the same point in the front as the back would hit the back, if that makes sense. So I'm making sure it's leveled in the front. I think I later end up, let me see. Okay, so that's nice and straight. Do I like it? Yes. Making sure that hair is wet, making sure that hair is wet. She has very porous hair at the time, especially with that blonde. That blonde took a while to get wet. But now that we're getting up into her natural hair color, we cut all that old color off. All right. So now we're going in with my Donald Scott wide tooth razor comb. Now you can see here I am doing vertical subsections, and I am only razor cutting the ends, literally 2 inches from the ends. Here we go with another vertical layer. Vertical sectioning, subsectioning. And I'm going in only on the bottom. I don't want to get too close to the root when razoring or layering thick, wavy, textured hair like this, because when she does decide to wear her hair and let it air dry or natural, because she is a scruncher and, you know, she can bounce between wavy and some type of curl. If you razor it to the root, yes, you're getting rid of density, but you're also creating way too much volume in the root. You're using the wrong technique for the wrong client. Her hair will actually end up feeling much thicker, like a poof ball that she doesn't know what to do with. So you have to make sure when razor cutting thick hair or curly hair, or I shouldn't say curly, I wouldn't razor curly hair. Thick hair, well, you can, the tips, just the ends. And you can also figure this, what the ends would technically be by, oh, thank you, baby, that's some coffee. By figuring out where the weight of the hair falls, okay? I know by cutting the ends of her hair, the weight of the rest of the hair is going to pull those shorter pieces down. Not only that, literally by doing it in this fashion, you are hiding the debulking that is going on. Because really that's all I'm doing right now. I'm debulking, so she can have a nice feathery finish once we're done. It won't feel so heavy on the tips. So after I debulked that bottom section, notice I didn't debulk the front areas because it's not as dense, so there's no need to go into that anymore. I just debulked the back section where her hair was the densest. Now that I added some from the crown piece, I am going to, as seen here, follow my guide, but using elevation this time. I want it to feel disconnected a little bit, just so that all the hair isn't stopping quite literally in one line. We did that in the beginning just so we can have an area so we know where we're stopping. But now that we're getting into the we're away from the perimeter and into the surface area of the cut, we have to make sure that it's still not falling right where we did our first line, or it's going to feel very thick at the bottom. So even though I am hitting it right to the line of that we cut, by elevating it, it's actually not falling exactly like a 0 degree cut, making it super dense right on the perimeter. So that's why I opted for elevating this part. So yeah, I'm making sure that it all lines up, but not doing it on a 0 degree cut to just make it easier. I don't want to have to keep going back. I've cut this client's hair before. She's a longtime friend, Tiffany, hairdresser. We've worked alongside each other, and I know how much hair she has. So to get rid of some steps later, that's how I opted for that subsection that we just took from the crown. Okay. And notice that piece that's sitting forward. I didn't touch that piece besides the scissor cutting. I didn't go in with any razor cutting on that front piece that's sitting in front of the ear. I left it, separated it, and left it like that. Now we're blending the two pieces, the elevated piece and the 0 cut piece. And I'm just going through to see if it feels too dense for me, and it does. So this is where I'm kind of marrying the two, cut elevated, because remember, we had the 0 degree cut that we did with the scissors, and then we did like an elevated cut off of that after we debulked it. So now I'm marrying the two by creating vertical subsections like we did to debulk. Any pieces that fall out the bottom, I'm allowing it to fall because I already know I debulked it. Those are shorter pieces we already cut. If there's nothing to cut, there's no reason to cut, okay? A great hair cutting teacher taught me that. There's nothing to cut, don't cut anything. There's nothing to cut. You're just gonna ruin the look. So here I am, just marrying the pieces together, debulking and marrying them together to make sure that it's not so heavy back here. Because look, I'm parting her hair and she has enough hair for 3 people easily. Easily. So I'm doing a little under with that because I want it to feel lighter, but I don't want to necessarily see the layers yet. I want the layers to be well disguised, incognito. So this way of debulking the hair, layering the hair, is just feathering it out without creating volume. Because you can use this technique on someone who wants more fullness, especially in like their blowouts, up in the crown, root area, anywhere, for it to appear that they have fuller hair when styling. So I'm just running my fingers through it. This is how I like to feel the weight, the density, the weight of it, making sure when she runs her hands through it, she's feeling what I was feeling when I was running my hands through it. So it needs to feel like a really good, smooth, balanced haircut. So I like to run my hands through it just so that if any area feels a little weighty, we can remove that. So here I am. This time I did it on a 0-degree cut because I know this is the last bit of hair that's dropped down, and I know this hair is going to get scissor cut in the very end anyway. Now, because the crown came down, we see one of the points that happens naturally on a haircut on a head. The crown creates corners. So I know I'm going to run into some corners, but I'm not going to trouble them too much because I know I'm going to go in with the haircut later. Haircut using the scissors later. See? So I'm just making sure everything is nice and straight. I had to pull that cape to the side so I can really get a good look. Sometimes the wrinkles messes it up. But yeah, you can get like the cutting capes, the cutting bibs, they call it. Like I said, I have one from Olivia Garden. It works really nice. I do find the front needs to be a little bit more weighted down so it doesn't fall off, but I quite like it. Anyway, So yeah, I'm just making sure that the crown that I dropped down lines up with the rest of the cut. And once it does, I take down the very last piece, which is, oh yep, she's feeling it. Get me a little breaky break. So I'm just going in some more. And this is where I'm really fine-tuning it, because I'm really looking for those areas that just feel too heavy for her desired style. And remember, we had a consultation and everything. I'm not just like razor cutting her hair just because I feel like it. No, we've had a full conversation what the look is going to look like. Even with the color, I was the one who previously did the blonde on her, and she's a new mom. Her hair grew out. She's tired of the upkeep of the blonde. Totally understandable. Nobody's got time as a mom necessarily to do all that. And like I said, her hair super thick, super long. Blonding her takes multiple sessions. That's a whole story of its own. So as you can see here, I'm just following the part straight down off the head. There's a better look. Here we go. Got my camera together. Straight down from the head. Sorry, Tiff. Hair's going to be in your face. And you can see, now this razor comb has 2 sections to it, I should mention. So sometimes I am using the wider part when I'm really trying to take a lot of hair out. You see there? Ooh, look at that. And it didn't even make a difference. You see how much hair I'm taking out? I wish I would have showed you a picture of what the floor. I had to sweep up 2 or 3 times during this haircut just so I didn't slip, or my husband didn't slip, or anybody else coming into the salon didn't slip on how much hair was on the floor. So I used the wider part of the razor comb to really debulk. But the times when I was cutting my guide, like on a 0-degree cut, when I'm just creating like a straight line, I would flip it to the finer tooth comb, because it would take out more hair at one level versus hair at different levels, the way the wide tooth comb would. The wide tooth part of the razor comb. You see that? See, if I was to go in on that section of hair with the more closed tooth part of the thinning comb, that whole section would have been chopped off. So knowing what side to use, when to use it, what your desired feel and look for is very important when you're using a razor comb. Now, like I said, I'm using the Donald Scott NYC razor comb. Let me see how much this costs. And it runs about $40. Well, it says $40.95 on their website, DonaldScottNYC.com. The blades itself cost $12.95. So once you do get the comb, and I think it's worth it because it's heat resistant, it's very sturdy, feels really nice. They have 2 options. I have the wide tooth version, but there's also like a tighter tooth version of this comb. Very balanced in the hand, easy to switch the blades out. So for $40, not bad. Making sure that hair is wet. Gotta make sure that hair is wet while I'm razor cutting. The blades cost $12.95. So I guess, once you get the comb, blades is only $12.95. That's not half bad. So now I'm feeling it, making sure I like the density all around. Some area, one side of the head always is thicker than another side. So I just want to make it feel as balanced as possible. There we go. Making sure I get the right angle. Look how much hair I'm cutting off. Look at that. And it feels like It feels like a drop in a bucket of water. Alright, so now we get to this point. Yes. This is the bang piece, really. And we had to reset, sweep up, get a beverage. She was running her hands through her hair. This is perfectly fine with me. I like that because I like the feedback. She's telling me how light it feels already. So that's also a good thing. We done sprayed the whole place down. Okay. We chatting it up. Now for this part, I retired the razor comb because for the very, very top part, I do want to do a little... Wait. No, I razor combed a little bit. I went back and forth. I did a little back and forth scissor and a back and forth razor. So we are working on that front fringed area. So you're going to see what the parting of this looks like. Because I know it feels like I'm using all of the hair from the top, but I'm really not. All this crown area I don't need because it's going to fall in the back of the head. So if I get too scissor happy with that, it can end up looking way choppier than I want it. So those pieces, those are back pieces really. Those don't really fall in the front, so I'm not going to bother it for the front. I just want the pieces that literally fall to her face right now. So I'm getting my little guide. Blending the temple area out. Because we know we want curtain bangs. So I want the curtains to fall into to blend into something. Because her hair, being that it's like a wavy straight. Now here I am just gliding that razor comb. And what side did I use? Can I see? I believe I used the small tooth. Yep, the small tooth side because I really want a lot of weight off. I was actually taking length off right there. So now I'm going up, working my way up. The head position is so important. If you are a guest going to get your hair done and your hairdresser keeps reminding you about your hair, your head position over and over, hey, can you put your head up? Can you put your head up? Just know you are not getting the best results. Like, our wrists are not double jointed. Our necks cannot like reach over the chair plus you to look to make sure balance and perfection. So when you are sitting in a hairstylist chair, guys, like as a client, you want these results. Posture, one, very important. You know, I don't mind you being on your phone personally. I know some people are like, no phones. Like, I don't mind you being on your phone, but there's a way to be on your phone. You can't be holding your head down to look at your phone like you are being serviced back there, you know. You got to bring the phone up to you. Like, one thing about it, hairdressers are going to look at your phone. I'm sorry. We are. It's hard. I don't want to lie to you. We're going to take a peep, you know. We're going to take a look. But if we are so busy in our work, we're not going to look over and look at your phone. So if we are focused on our work and not focused on how your head position is, you are doing yourself a justice, because I will give up at some point. I can't repeat myself over and over, you know. So there you see, created a little movement there so that it's just not hanging. It can kind of float back her layers. You see, she's talking about it. We like to talk about it. You can tell the difference from the way this side is just falling down, whereas the other side is just kind of like, it's ready to be touched. It's ready to, it's doing what it, you see? Ooh, there we go. You see that? And it just falls into place. It looks like it can already be styled. just off of the way it's cut. That's why haircuts are so important and so passionate. I'm so passionate about it. Like, look at the left side compared to this right side. The right side wasn't doing anything. It's the same head of hair. You see? I was talking about sitting properly. I'm sorry, I didn't go over how to cut. So we're going to go over this. Making sure the hair is really, really wet. Okay? You got to make sure your hair is really wet, and you got to make sure your client is sitting in the right position. Always when giving a haircut. Can't tell you how many times I've done a haircut, took the cape off, and realized the girl was sitting with her legs crossed. Like, please, just sit with nice posture. You know how to cross your legs, cross your ankles. Just sit regular with your head up and your shoulders back. That's so hard. We got to stand with our head up and our shoulders back all the time over you. So please, be fair to us. We want you to look cute, and we like to keep our careers for as long as we can without having neck and shoulder problems. Please, guys. Okay? All right. I'm done complaining. Here we go. So I like to work in sections that the comb can handle. She has lots of hair, very thick, dense hair. So that piece, like, that I just split, that subsection, for some people, that can be cut all in one piece. But for Tiffany, it cannot be cut in all in one piece. We have to take our time, or else we'll create these really thick, blunt pieces of hair that once you do it, it's hard to soften it without then cutting more hair. And one thing about it, I am not scissor happy. Like, I will give you the desired length you want, respectfully. So always take out what your scissors, your tools can handle. And I know my tools would not be able to support this section of hair that I am over directing and slicing on top of the piece that I clipped away. So clip it away. It's okay. Take your time. It's no rush. We want good cuts the first time, okay? Don't want to rush this. So now I'm just making sure that middle piece meets with the piece that I already cut. Okay, so that was just cutting the length. Now I'm going to put in the actual layering for this little subsection here. Look how the other side is just falling so pretty. It's giving Farrah Fawcett on the other side. I'm sorry. It really is. I've been trying to talk this girl into a shag cut for so long. Like, I want to give you a shag, like real short. Real short and long. Like, real long in the back and real short up in the front. This was the closest I can convince her to a shag. So, I'm really loving it. So, I'm over-directing to slice it down. We were just cutting length there. Cutting length. Even though I can feel and I can see, rewatching this, how thick this area is. I'm really just trying to get a good hand on it. Oh, there we go. Alright, now I'm removing some bulk. There we go. And when you're removing the bulk with a razor cut, especially when your blades are super, super fresh, light pressure. Okay, you don't need to dig into it. The hair is wet already, so it should already create some type of slip to the hair. It's really light pressure. Don't go so heavy-handed. Okay, light, 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 light. And I like to do it in like strokes. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. Okay. Don't dig into the hair. She's feeling it, and that side is already drying, and I feel like it's drying so nicely. It's not super frizzy. It's nice and feathery on the ends the way we want it, and it's falling right into place, and we haven't even started styling it. It's falling exactly how a curtain bang should start to fall at this point, the side that we've already cut. So we're just catching up so that, all right, I took the rest of that piece down, making sure her head is in the right position. Don't be afraid, hairdressers, hairstylists, barbers, to move your client's head. Like, that's what they're there for. They're the models. Mold yourselves, models. Be moldable. Your neck's move. Your ears are flexible. Stop freaking out. I'm just giving you a haircut. Are you scared of the water? Are you scared of your own hair? Are you scared of me? Chill out. Stop making it such a tense situation. Haircuts are fun. Feel great. Just when I move, you move. Just like that. So yeah, sometimes the hair is going to be in your face. It's not going to stay like that. I'm not going to keep it like that. I know sometimes you get these clients and you're doing something and while you're doing it, they're like correcting it while you're doing it. Like, I know your part doesn't go there, but I'm cutting your hair right now. I will move the part to where I seen the part when you walked in. But for right now, I need to cut it like this so we can create a beautiful haircut, okay? When you go home, when you walk away, you fix your part the way you want to fix your part. But as I'm cutting, please allow magic to happen, okay? See, I told you, she's a scruncher. It's ingrained in her from her high school days, scrunching the hair. Hey. She's feeling it. She's feeling it. We are getting to the end of this portion of the wet cut. So I'm just wetting her hair down one final time because I'm going to go over it with, I think I'm going to go over it with the scissors. Let's see. But I'm wetting her down one final time because I do like to check my cuts when I'm all done with it. So let's check, make sure everything is falling the way it needs to fall. And I like to let the hair move the way it's naturally going to move. I don't like to force it to do something that it doesn't naturally do because it's going to go back to its natural place. So you want it to cut it so it looks good in its natural place. I don't like forcing twists, braids, anything like that. If your hair doesn't necessarily want to go, your hair follicles don't want to go in that direction, you are doing yourself a disservice by forcing it to do something it does not want to do. Whether it be it feels like it's too thick, out of place, choppy, or you could quite literally thin in areas from over directing your hair in a way where your hair follicles are not growing for so long that you are literally causing breakage and damage to your scalp. To your hair follicles. I've seen it. So, one thing about me, I love to tell my clients, do not be so quick to fall in love with one parting. Your hair should be able to part in multiple ways, okay? Without it being, you shouldn't just do straight down the middle or a deep side part. You'll cause problems to your hair follicles by just like permanently using that part for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I've seen women's parts quite literally become wider and wider because they are so fixated. No, my part has to be like this and brushed just so. No, your hair should be able to blow in the wind and still look great no matter how the wind may leave you, okay? Your hair doesn't need to be just so all the time to look beautiful, to look great. You actually wind up handicapping that part, and like I said, your part will get larger and larger to the point where the part looks more like a balding section than it does a part, okay? So, and yeah, I even had to tell this about Tiffany. Tiff, you gotta stop with the side parts back in the day. She was doing side parts all the time. I had to talk to her. And listen, sometimes the middle part, rock out with the middle part. You know, it's okay. Or if you're going to do a side part, zigzag the side part so it's not that same hard line continuously. Oh, back to the haircut. I'm sorry. I'm ranting. Okay, so as you can see now, I am going over just to see, you know, if there's anything that might be sitting out of place in those corners. Your haircut always creates some type of corners. There was one, so I got that. And just blending, once again, marrying the razor cut with the scissor cut so it can still look cohesive because her hair is so thick. Now, people with much less dense, maybe like medium dense, I would say Tiffany's hair is heavily dense. But someone who maybe have like a medium to less dense hair, you could probably just get away with just doing a scissor cut. But for Tiffany, you have to, you know, haircut with hair this thick, you have to bring in the reinforcements. So I am finishing this wet cut with scissors. So real quick, because I only have a few more minutes left on this video, what did we go over? Okay, 1, your arm placements when it comes to cutting is very important, okay? 2, take your time when it comes to razor cutting thick hair. Don't just go in heavy-handed. You don't want to create a bigger problem for yourself later, fixing problems that you cause. 2, the hair must be wet when razor cutting. The hair must be wet, okay? Do not razor cut your client's hair dry. 1, that's very uncomfortable, and 2, you're going to create frizz, okay? The hair needs to be wet. 3, gentle slides is fine. Slide the razor through the hair. Don't just go in and chop it up. Yeah, and you know, hair cutting, it's to your imagination. You know what you and the client has discussed. There's lots of different techniques to get you to one point. Like they said, what's it, 1,000 ways to skin a cat? There's 1,000 ways to cut hair, okay? Well, there's actually 4. Maybe I'll do a video about that. But there's 1,000 ways to create a haircut, so you need to pick which one is the right one for the client and for the style that you're trying to create. So I'm just making sure everything is balanced in the middle. Point cut, just a little point cut. Now, her hair is very thick, so she actually needs a part 2, which would be the dry cutting once we dry her hair. When her hair dries, you'll see how much it expands. It's crazy. So guys, that is it. Everything that I spoke about in the video, I will link it to my description below. Thank you all for watching one more time. I hope this answered any questions. My name is Mahalia. I go by HailX Beauty here on YouTube and on Instagram. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.